From Astoria to the Rockaways, it's time for the Queen's New Yorker. And here is the man giving you all the info, your uber snazzy and jazzy host, Mr. Jason D'Antonio.
Oh, thank you, Jason Kelly. And good evening once again to another great episode of the Queen's New Yorker, right here on Mixcloud and YouTube and on Instagram, if we can get the darn thing working. That's for sure. It's episode 37, and we are here ready to go. Yes. And I got a major announcement, too, that I'm so excited to tell you about. Oh, but on a more happier note, even happier than the excitement I'm going to tell you, folks. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend last week, because that's where everything just took off and was nice and quiet. So I just sat here and did episode 36 over the weekend, and, well, the rest is history. Today is December 5th. It's a Thursday show, and you're wondering to yourself, how come he waited till now to do this episode 37? Well, it's because I wanted to tell you that because our YouTube channel has grown so much, and I'm talking not only subscribers, but the views on YouTube, fantastic. The channel is becoming even more popular than it did actually on Mixcloud, but we're still going to have both because we can do both. That's for sure. Right now, the Queen's New Yorker has 360 followers on Mixcloud, and to this date on YouTube now has 114 subscribers on there. Wow, we're talking over 400 followers on both platforms. I am truly blessed to thank you so much for your continued support of the show. But here's where it really takes off. Total stats for the Queen's New Yorker on Mixcloud, 262 total plays. Minutes listened, 2,872. 181 favorites, 2 comments, and 8 reposts. But this is where it gets really dicey. Watch this, folks. 114 subscribers on YouTube, and look at the views. This is crazy. I can't tell you. The views are just amazing. 780 views as of today. Can you believe that? 780 views. When we started this channel over 5 months ago on YouTube, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. This is just amazing. So, yeah, when we did the first upload, which was episode number 1, July 11th, and then July, wait a minute, hold on. Not even. Oh, I had to go. Okay. June 28th was, we uploaded the premiere, and it had 19 views. Every single one of these videos on YouTube has had a double-digit viewing. Yep. Except for 2 of them. That's about it. They are just getting tremendous responses. Thank you so much for that continued support. So that's what I wanted to say for that. And I also want to say that we're starting to go now 4 days a week. Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday will be our shows where we will be giving you each episode, uploading it to Mixcloud and uploading it to YouTube. So stay tuned, because the shows are going to go much faster, which means more coverage. Let's do it. We're pressed for time. Today's episode is episode number 37, entitled Ozone Park. That's right. We're getting so close to my hometown. I'm salivating right now. So get your water or whatever you are eating or drinking and enjoy this little bit of history of Ozone Park. It's a neighborhood. It's located in the southwestern part of the borough. It's located next to the Aqueduct Racetrack in South Ozone Park, which is a popular spot for thoroughbred racing and home to the resort's World Casino and Hotel. The neighborhood was known for its large Italian-American population. Over the years, it has become a very diverse community. The northern border is Atlantic Avenue. The southern is North Conduit Avenue. The western is in Brooklyn, Queens borderline. And the eastern border is up to 108th Street and Aqueduct Racetrack property line west. Ozone Park is in two community districts divided by Liberty and 103rd Avenues, and the southern half of the neighborhood is in Queens Community District 10, which is covered by New York City Police Department's 106th Precinct, and while the northern half is in Queens Community District number 9 and covered by the NYPD's 102nd Precinct, its zip codes are 11416 and 11417. Ozone Park is represented by three civic organizations: Our Neighbors Civic Association, Ozone Park Residents Block Association, and Ozone Tudor Civic Association. The name Ozone Park was chosen for its development to lure buyers with the idea of refreshing breezes blowing in from the Atlantic Ocean to a park-like community. The ozone in the neighborhood's name referred to a park-like area with cool ocean breezes, an archaic definition that is not related to the present-day definition of the alternate form of oxygen. An area now part of Ozone Park that predated that community was called Centerville. It was founded in the 1840s and was centered around Centerville Street and the Centerville Community Church. Part of Ozone Park is still called Centerville. In the 1870s, two immigrants from France named Charles Lalance and Florian Grosjean developed a factory in Woodhaven. The factory manufactured cooking materials and porcelain and enamelware, but burnt down in 1876. Lalance and Grosjean built a second factory, as well as 100 houses for workers at Atlantic Avenue and 92nd Street in modern-day Ozone Park. During the 1870s, an economic depression caused residents of New York City to look for better housing opportunities in the suburbs of Manhattan and Brooklyn. And while housing would be cheaper in 1880, the New York, Woodhaven, and Rockaway Railroad began service on the Montauk Branch and Rockaway Beach Branch from Long Island City to Howard Beach, Queens. 2 years later, two wealthy partners named Benjamin W. Hitchcock and Charles C. Denton bought plots of land around what would later become the Woodhaven Junction Station. The Rockaway Beach Branch's Ozone Park Station opened in 1883, and advertisements for Ozone Park proclaimed that the development had pure air and no malaria. Ozone Park was called the Harlem of Brooklyn because at the time, the borough of Queens did not yet exist, and the Harlem was a thriving Jewish and Italian neighborhood in Manhattan. Hitchcock and Denton chose the Ozone Park name because in the 80s, or the 1880s, ozone was associated with breezes from the sea, and the Atlantic Ocean was located nearby. The Brooklyn Rapid Transit Company's Fulton Street elevated railroad line above Liberty Avenue opened in 1915 with a station at Lefferts Boulevard, now Lefferts Avenue, which is now Lefferts Boulevard. The elevated train system only charged a 5-cent fare. The nickel fare was another major factor in the development of Ozone Park, as residents could travel across the entire elevated and subway system for 5 cents. After the opening of the elevated line, real estate developers began buying up all the lots on either side of Liberty Avenue in hopes the new station would attract more people to want to live in Ozone Park. Extensive housing construction occurred in the 1920s. The houses featured enclosed front porches, open back porches, and stained glass windows in the living rooms. Most of the houses were detached or semi-detached, very close to the neighboring house, but not sharing a common wall. Built to roughly the same plan, with the living room, dining room, and kitchen all in line, and 3 bedrooms and a bath upstairs, The stairs were usually in the dining room, and one of the builders was named Wireman. During the 1920s, Woodhaven Avenue was the main north-south artery in the area, and though its southern terminus was at Liberty Avenue, in conjunction with the extension of Woodhaven Avenue to the Rockaway Peninsula, the avenue was widened to 150 feet and renamed Woodhaven Boulevard. The extension itself, named Cross Bay Boulevard, opened to traffic in 1925. And because Ozone Park was now more accessible by car, the land became much more valuable, leading to a construction boom. Between 1921 and 1930, Ozone Park saw a population increase of over 180%, from 40,000 to 112,950 people. With this increase in population came the need for schools and sources of entertainment. In response to this demand came the construction of John Adams High School in 1930, and this school was built just as the construction boom slowed down and right before the Great Depression. The 1,800-seat Cross Bay Movie Theater opened in December of 1924, and a 2,000-seat theater at 102nd Street and Liberty Avenue was also built during this time. One area of Ozone Park is known as The Hole, and it includes the area bounded by 75th Street, South Conduit Avenue, 78th Street, and Linden Boulevard. And it is named as such because the houses in this area were built below grade, with a ground level that is 30 feet, lower than the surrounding area. And this area is run down and suffers from frequent flooding. In the 1930s, the city of New York decided to install sewers and sewer lines in Ozone Park to stop the serious flooding that was a major problem. In order to install the sewers, the houses had to be raised almost an entire floor. Owners were given a stipend to raise their homes, but some chose not to do so. The first floor in some of the non-raised homes subsequently became basements, and in 2004, the New York City Department of Environmental Protection made plans to connect the neighborhood to the city's sewer system to combat the flooding by raising the land. The Centerville Community Church merged with the United Methodist Church of Ozone Park in 1957, and the new church, the Community Methodist Church of Ozone Park, was built at the southeast corner of Sutter Avenue and Cross Bay Boulevard. It was completed for Christmas 1958. The old church and the property that surrounded it were sold to Aqueduct Racetrack, and the old historic church was torn down in mid-1959. The LaLance and Grosjean factory closed in the 60s and was left to deteriorate over 2 decades. In 1981, the factory complex was designated as a New York City landmark. What remains is now adaptively reused as a medical clinic. Only the factory's old clock tower still remains. And in 1996, a scandal broke surrounding 2 Ozone Park Jewish cemeteries, Makom Shalom Cemetery and Bayside Cemetery, which share a coterminous tract bounded by 80th and 84th Streets and Liberty and Pitkin Avenues. The adjoining Acacia Cemetery was not involved, and allegations of the reusing of graves of long-dead, mostly infants and small children from the mid to late 19th century for resale to recent Russian Jewish immigrants were made against the owners of Mokum Shalom. In addition, Mokum Shalom and Bayside had also been damaged by a combination of vandals, grave robbers, and self-styled necromancers, though the former was affected to a greater extent, and WABC TV reported on damage to Mokum Shalom, while damage to Bayside was repaired through philanthropic efforts headed by the late city councilman Al C. Stabell. And that is a look at the history of Ozone Park. And now, a look at South Ozone Park, which is in the same area. This is located north of JFK Airport, and its boundaries extend from the Aqueduct Racetrack from the west to the Van Wyck Expressway to the east. Its main thoroughfare is Rockaway Boulevard. Despite its name, South Ozone Park is mostly east of the neighborhood of Ozone Park. Richmond Hill lies to the north. Jamaica, South Jamaica, and Springfield Gardens are to the east. To the southwest are Howard Beach and Old Howard Beach. Rockaway Boulevard is South Ozone Park's main business strip. There is also a high concentration of small businesses along Liberty Avenue, which is also one of South Ozone Park's main source of revenue. South Ozone Park is located in Queens Community District number 10, and its zip code is 11420. It is patrolled by the New York City's Police Department's 106th Precinct. Politically, South Ozone Park is represented by the New York City Council's 28th and 32nd districts. And there you have it, folks. Ozone Park, South Ozone Park, right here on the Queens New Yorker. Can't get any better than that. Next Saturday on the show, we'll be talking about my hometown, Richmond Hill, and then we'll finish up with Woodhaven on Monday. Remember, friends, always tell the truth before spewing a lie out of your mouth. Be honest, be real, and keep it simple, stupid. Kiss on the Queens New Yorker, right here on Mixcloud and YouTube. We'll see you Saturday. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
You have been watching the Queens New Yorker. This is Jason Kelly on a Jason DeCanio internet presentation. Thank you for your support.
Don't forget to subscribe to the David Dyson Network for great more content like this one.